Hey everyone, just dropping in to give you an update on the garden build. I spent a lot of the late winter tending to seedlings and slowly working on the garden.
Excuse me. Is that necessary?
Of course, I got a lot of support from the dogs, and they also drove me a little bit crazy, but I couldn't do it without them. Anytime the weather was nice outside during the winter, I would step outside to assemble these galvanized garden beds. When we first moved into our home, the only garden beds were in the back, and they were poorly built, disheveled wood beds that the previous owner had left. I also spent some time totally disassembling those, staining them, and reassembling them as best as I could to build a bigger structure for around the galvanized garden beds. This way, the wood structure around the galvanized garden beds would work as a retaining wall to hold it secure. Of course, this is just a temporary solution because we have bigger plans for our backyard someday. But for now, we wanted to utilize what we had. That way we could still have a beautiful backyard this summer. The trellis behind me is another example of something we utilized that was already in the backyard. But of course, when we went to move it into this spot, it totally fell apart. So I had to reassemble it and stain it so it lasts for a longer period of time. I'm so excited to see what grows well in this area. I'm really hoping my pumpkin and watermelon will grow great over the trellis. Now please take this time to stop and enjoy this Chaos Dog intermission. Here we have the before and the after of what the garden beds look like. After all the garden bed assembly was finished, I worked on this large trellis that was going to go over the stairway. Of course, it came in too tall and not quite long enough, so I had to make some adjustments. Also, due to high winds and my poor reassembly, I had to take the wood arch down again. This time, I applied wood glue and small nails to secure the entire trellis. Once it was finally assembled and secure, I spent the rest of the time totally covering it in waterproof stain. Once stained, we moved it back into the spot where it was secured to stand up straight. There were deep holes dug and rock formed around the base, that way that the wind won't knock it over. With a super short growing season in Colorado, I'm really hoping that I can utilize these garden bed spaces as much as I can. That's why I'm using these trellises, and I'll have other trellises along the galvanized garden beds. 1, to keep the dogs out, and 2, to hopefully do more vertical gardening and have more space so I can grow more plants in our short season. Of course, this is me being hopeful, but wish me luck. I'm hoping everything turns out beautifully. It's been a process so far, and I haven't even got plants in the ground. And here I am, working on the final galvanized bed for the garden. Unfortunately, another challenge that we're dealing with is that our entire yard is at a slant. With this comes a lot of flattening ground and moving rock, because also our yard is covered in rock. Pink, ugly rock. And here we are, the final build. Now comes filling the garden beds. Luckily for me, there was a lot of sticks, leaves, and other natural matter that I could fill the garden bed with. I started off with plain cardboard with all of the plastic and tape removed. Then I put sticks, twigs, whatever I could find around the yard that was natural, like leaves. Then I started filling with compost and topsoil. Of course, this took way more bags than I was expecting, but that's okay, we got it filled. We even utilized the compost that I've been making over the winter. The dogs really love the compost. Anything smelly is their favorite. And of course, they tried to eat it, so that was a lot of training trying to keep them out of the beds. My final topping for my galvanized garden bed sundae was seedless straw. I was careful to apply an even layer throughout each bed, but of course I think I applied a little bit thicker layer than I wanted to this year, so next year I'm going to be doing less. Here's the before, with Io admiring the garden bed with just compost and topsoil in it. I could have used to fill them a little bit more with soil. I also ended up putting a layer of straw in all the beds that held my fruit trees and berry bushes. At this time, my nectarine tree was already growing flowers, and everything was popping up. We have gooseberry, an apple tree, Fuji, I believe. There's Rhea. And a little raspberry bush over here, just barely popping up. And at the very end, a plum tree with lots of flowers as well. Well, thanks for following along so far. Here's the final result. I'm so excited to put plants in. Of course, it's too early in Colorado, and we always have those crazy random freezes at the end of April and early May. So now we wait. But it's going to be so beautiful, and I really hope that all of my plants grow up these trellises. Here's some other fun trellises I put in that I didn't show earlier. I hope you enjoyed my video. Give me a like, or I'd love a subscribe. Tell me what more you're looking for and how I can improve my content. Thanks so much, guys, for following along.